You are live.
All right, guys, welcome in. A very happy Saturday now. I can't believe it, the 25th of July. It is last call here on WagerTalk TV. I'm Joe Raineri, in for one Kelly Stewart here, who is either playing lacrosse or somewhere along those lines. I'm not quite sure how that works, but we've got plenty to go over here today. Loaded Major League Baseball slate. Gianni the Greek up first. We'll talk to good old Tokyo Brandon coming up. Andrew McInnis with a little CFL, not to mention Double R, 1L, Steve Merril in the house. And don't look now, guys, but we are just a couple of weeks away from football being back in our lives. But if you think it's not already in our lives, you are crazy. So a lot to go over here today. No better way to kick it off than with our man VR, Gianni the Greek, in the house with us here today. And as always, football's almost here. Well, it is here for some of us, Yanni, but it's definitely just around the corner. And now would be a pretty good time for folks to start dabbling in here a little bit. No?
Yeah, we're a few weeks away from the betting public doing nothing but talking and wagering on football. And you never want to be last to the party, and you definitely never want to be last in a market. You're never going to get the best of it doing that. I mean, there are times where waiting will get you a better number, but those are rare. More times than not, the goal is to get out ahead of the market, get out ahead of information, get out ahead of line moves. And if you wait until, a week before week one starts, you're probably not going to get good numbers on season win totals. You're probably not going to get good numbers on future bets. And at that point, you're better off just waiting and betting week by week. I highly recommend anyone looking to bet futures, season win totals, to win division, make the playoffs, those kind of bets. You don't want to wait. You got to remember, betting syndicates know it's a zero-sum game. They're not working together. And in fact, it's a race to who's going to find that inefficiency and bet it first, because the book's job is to adjust the line as quickly as possible and stop others from placing that very same good bet. So by the time most get to the window, the books are confident that whether you bet over or under, yes or no, by laying 11-10 or 12-10 or 13-10 in some instances, you're not getting the best of it either way. By that point, they're very comfortable that their lines are as sharp and as efficient as possible. And that, again, no matter what side you're lining up on, you're not getting the best of it. And doesn't mean you're not going to win bets. You're not going to cash a ticket. But, you do that over and over, you're going broke. It's just a matter of time. So it's a long way of saying don't wait if you're betting futures. I've already released mine for college football. And over the next couple days by midweek, I'll have the NFL finished as well. Because again, it is a race, and don't want to be last, especially with so much value on the board.
When do you, I was just going over yesterday, VR, week one in the NFL and the amount of hooks that are available right now. When do we start seeing, obviously future bets aside, when do you start seeing the week one action come rolling in?
I think that should start to come in like mid-July. And especially once the preseason begins, then you'll really start seeing those week by week lines move. Here's what those lines usually get attacked by sharp bettors that are locking in a number that they don't think will be available when that week rolls around. That's all they're doing. They're not primarily handicapping that matchup, because you don't know how each team's going to come into that matchup. Did they lose last week? Did they win last week? There's just so many
injuries.
Factors. Exactly. But what they are trying to determine is which way is this line going to move. And if I'm able to lock in a good number now, the opportunities come week, the game day are endless. Again, if you get the best of it, you put yourself in a position where you could have options. When you're betting last, when you're taking bad numbers, you're stuck. It's the same in every market, Joe. It doesn't change. We talk about it in crypto and in stocks. Bitcoin, perfect example. 3-6 months ago, it was 125,000. And they were talking about by the end of the year, it's going to get to 200,000. Now, if you believe that and you were confident and you started buying Bitcoin at 120, 125 and figuring it's going to 200, I'm going to make my, 60, 70% ROI. It's just a matter of time. Well, all of a sudden you're looking at a $65,000, $70,000 Bitcoin months later. You have a choice to make. How much money am I comfortable losing? Because you're not getting out of this with profit unless you wait a really, really, really long time and hope things turn around for you. And at that point, you don't have options. But let's say you bought at low when it was 40,000, 50,000. It got to 120. Okay, you didn't sell. You're like, damn, I could have 3x'd my money. I didn't sell. Okay, now it drops to 60, 70, 80,000. You're not panicking. You still doubled your money if you got out right now. Worst case scenario is you doubled your money because you got in good. It's the same with every market. If you get in good, not only are you going to make money, but if things go against you, information changes, markets, change, then you have options. But when you bet bad numbers, when you bet late, you have no option at all. You're stuck. Yeah. You got that number, and you just better hope you're right at that point. And it's a position you don't want to be in as a sports bettor too often.
Bet numbers, not teams. That's the way it rolls. And with that window of opportunity to get some of those early numbers,
it's quick. Yeah,
it's closing quickly. So great opportunities. Are you, by the way, Abu Dhabi? Is that still going on? Is that over?
Yeah, it's actually, I had to lower the volume because it's on in the background. We're about 5 fights in. Hasn't been an exciting card. I think only one has gone to finished inside the distance so far. And it didn't track a lot of betting action. Number one, because it's over in Abu Dhabi, and there's a handful of fighters that are debut guys. So you don't have that big name attraction. And even at the top of the card, the main event, we have a fill-in. Goose Golf's filling in. So it's a card that didn't get that public boom, and it's been mostly sharp money related, which again, if you're reading markets, it's good because you could pretty much conclude that most of the line moves are legit. The problem with that is you don't have much writing of bets on the other side. So those lines have moved a little bit too significantly on the sharper sides as we've seen. But yeah, it's still going on. What I can tell you is I've bet 4 sides. All 4 were dogs. The one was a -105. But yeah, I've got a couple dogs going, including a 5%. Yeah, like I said, so far so good. I don't think any of my fights have even gone. One did, I think, and I think the dog lost. But I still have 3 or 4 fights going. And tonight, don't forget, it's Zoo against Spence Jr. There's boxing going on as well. Yep. It's a pay-per-view over in Australia. I'll tell you straight out right now, I bet Zoo. I took plus money on Zoo. Okay. And the reason is I don't think Spence should really be a favorite in this spot. Like, it's a coin flip at worst. Now, if this was Errol Spence before the accident, before getting knocked out by Crawford, yeah, okay, maybe he's the rightful favorite. But that's just not the case. He's a former shell of himself, and you're now paying for that name. And if Tim Tszyu doesn't get knocked out, he's probably going to get the decision in his hometown. Like, I know he's not Australian, but that's where he's based. That's where he's living, I believe. It's going to be a definite home crowd in favor of Tim Tszyu. The history, the dad, all of that. So yeah, I thought there was a little bit of value on the Tszyu side. If you agree with me, I think you could sit back. I expect more Spence money. Again, this one was like -110 either way. Not too long ago. What happened was Errol Spence opened about a -150 favorite, and every sharp bettor on the planet took the plus money on Tszyu. It got down to where it was like -110 either way heading into fight week. And since then, as expected, the Spence money's come in from the public. Don't let that scare you. It's not sharp. Sharp bettors are on Tim Tszyu at plus money. Again, he could finish, obviously, but I think that the handicap is more so if it goes to a decision, he's probably going to land more volume, and he's probably going to get the decision.
Yeah, you're talking about a Errol Spence. What is he? 36, 37.
Exactly.
He was a welterweight, wasn't he? Now he's a
moving. Every factor, you nailed it. The weights against him.
no.
The way they're fighting.
Yes.
It's the money. These guys at this point in their career, they know they don't have much left, and it's no disrespect, but it's a money grab. You know, if you didn't handle your finances during those 20s and early, years where you're making all that money and you think it's going to come forever, all of a sudden you're 35, you have a bunch of bills because you lived a high profile lifestyle. You got to make that money. And I think this is what we're seeing with Spence taking a fight like this. Well, there's no benefit to it. Like beating Tim Tszyu isn't going to do much for you. So I think it's a money grab, and I think it's a good spot to get plus money on a live dog.
Yeah, 3-year layoff tells you everything you need to know about that VR. But hey, ask Mayweather how those finances are doing right now. I heard he's working Applebee's a little bit later there. But who'd have thought that walking around Vegas VR with a million
money and betting a couple $100,000 on sports where like you're only showing us your winning tickets. And they're for 6 figures. So we know if they're letting you bet 6 figures, you're probably threw out a ton of tickets that look like that. Like I can't go in there and bet 300,000 on an NBA second half, but he can. So there's usually a reason for that. Kind of like
go in and buy a Bentley you don't need. But hey, there you go.
The social media influencers that show that they're going to the casino and betting 300,000 on like the most obscure stuff.
Yes,
that's the biggest advertisement for being a losing bettor, like a losing gambler long term. Like it's unfortunately most new bettors and recreational bettors and guys just getting in their fold, they don't know this yet. But a few years from now, as they gain experience and as they learn how things work, they're going to realize, holy shit, that the reason that guy was able to bet 200,000 is because he was probably down 3 million in that property lifetime. So be careful of those tickets that they show online and those big bets. There's usually a reason a casino is going to let you bet above their stated limits.
Exactly.
And it's not because they think you're going to beat them. It's not because they're afraid of you. If they're going to give you above the limit, there's only 2 reasons that I've ever been allowed to bet more than the stated limit. I swear to God. A, when they needed more money on the other side and I was a runner at the Stardust and a guy would ask me, Lupo would say, hey, do you guys need whatever? Because they were heavy on the side. And I would ask the office, hey, do you guys want a couple more thousand on the side? That is the only pretty much time that you would get that where that situation happens, where they want to give you more than the limit. And the other time was when, I swear, I got to tell you this story, really funny. We started card counting and we had a great cover. We went to Mandalay Bay and we were the first 3 days, we were just going to play a negative progressive system. So they thought we were just going to keep doubling up. And so we'd start with 25, go to 50, go to 100, go to 200, go to 400, go to 800. And we asked them, can you bump up the top side? Because on $25 table, the top is usually 2,000. And we're like, can you bump that up? And they're like, okay, we'll give you 5. So they let us go from 25 to 5,000 because they're like, these guys are just going to double up till they can't no more. We did that for 3 days and obviously lost a little bit of money, sometimes won a little bit of money. But then after the 3 days is when we used that bet spread to actually count and take advantage of being able to bet, 30, 50x our money where before we wouldn't be able to. That's the only time. And again, they thought we were idiots. They're like, oh, look at these dummies with this cash. And they're just going to keep doubling up till they win a hand. And eventually they're not going to win. And it didn't work out well for that casino. But that's the only time they're letting you bet more than the stated limit. So if you see anyone betting more than the stated limit, they're probably down a lot of money. Somewhere, even in the sports book, they may let them do that because they're down, 8 million at roulette. So they'll let them get away with it at the sports book, or they'll let him bet more blackjack because he lost $5 billion in craps over his life. That's the only time they'll do it. So be cautious drawing conclusions off those big bets you see as if they're winning bettors. Nothing could be further from the truth.
So you mean perception isn't exactly reality, huh?
That's a better way. You could have just said it for me in a sentence, Joe.
I'm just saying it's a shocker.
Language.
Yeah, it's just an absolute shocker there, man. The hard part about those kind of situations is you only get one or two cracks at that before they go,
exactly.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Yeah, wait a minute.
They're not dumb. They're lazy sometimes, but they're not dumb.
Correct. Yes, that's when you get plastic surgeons and then it's a whole mess there. Gianni, what do you got coming up here today before we dive into some of the sharp stuff you're seeing?
Yes, sir.
Is Steam Room on?
Yes, sir. 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to go over because I gave out my season win totals for college football, and I gave out the national championship futures. I also added like 8 other season win totals that, came close that we bet, but I didn't use as premiums. I added them just so guys can have them. I want to go over all those numbers in there and also go over the NFL before it's, officially all out there, all of my power ratings, and give them the numbers so they could create their own and start the season with a full set of power ratings for at least all the NFL teams and, top 10, top 20 in college football. We'll go over all the sports going off today. I have MLS that I'm originating my own. Tennis, I didn't see anything, but I did confirm 4 MLS teams. Couple that didn't get there real quickly. I'll share them with you. Charlotte at +0.5 a goal and +200 3-way. New York City at +155 3-way, and also pick 'em on the spread. And I gave out 4 premiums in MLS soccer. So we'll go over those as well. And there's a night PFL card. Yesterday there was an LFA card and I placed 2 bets and they actually hit for me. I like 2 bets tonight in PFL. Don't know if I'll make them premium, but I'll share that in there as well. So a lot of actionable information in today's Steam Room. Make sure you join me. And of course, I'll be there to answer any question you have on any matchup or anything else. And of course, we'll go over year-to-date results, how we're doing currently, and the blueprint through the end of the year. So busy day, even though it's the slow time, still got a lot to get to. So
is that schedule changing for you, Gianni, when football season comes? What's the Steam Room going to be looking like here?
Sunday. When time, I'll have some Saturday because I do like with all the college football action, but I like being there for them leading into NFL. Everyone's so excited for NFL. And if anything, it's almost like a safety net. So where we're there to protect each other, not to chase, not to take a bad number, not to, just bet for action, because NFL has that power to do it to everybody. You know what I mean? Where like you get excited for the NFL and, there's just so much actionable information that comes in game day with player props and team totals and all of that. So I'm definitely going to be doing it leading up to that final hour before kickoff in the NFL. And I'm planning to actually have some on Saturdays too, just because college football is such a busy day and so much, second half stuff that they could actually get down on live. So yeah, busy couple months ahead, man. I'm excited for it.
And over at your page of WagerTalk, you mentioned you still got a 5%er on Abu Dhabi UFC, not gone off yet, so folks can still head over there.
No, hasn't gone off, and already up there is season win totals. There's 5, my top 5 season win totals, 1 5%, 4 4%, and I even added the 8 that we also bet, just in case you have your own leans, and I can help you confirm. And then I also gave out 3 teams to win the national championship that I think will all make the playoffs, or at least 2 out of 3 make the playoffs. 1 at a 5%, a 3%, and a 2%. And the 2% I just upgraded. It was a 1% at greater than 50 to 1. I got 60 something to 1 on it. One of the subscribers showed me he got 120 to 1 on this ticket. And I swear to you, I would bet even money that this team makes the playoffs. I think they're going to win enough games that they're going to be forced to be, that the committee is going to be forced to put them in the playoffs. A strength of schedule means everything in college football. So I love it. I live for college football. There's a ton of value. Yeah. See, I'm already getting excited. So yeah, there's the national championship packages up. Season win totals is up. 2 5%ers, 1 in each. and NFL's coming out this coming week. So yeah, we'll be ready to go for football.
Love it. Gianni, Steam Room, 1 o'clock, guys. Go grab his 5% bet. You got anything for the folks before you get out of here?
Yeah. Let me give you some baseball really quick. 955 Cubs plus 115, 960 Mets plus 145, 140, and the under 8. 961 Cincinnati plus 115, plus 110. 965 Toronto plus 115, 110, and 105. 967 Cleveland plus 120, and the over 7.5. And then 975 over 8.5 in LA and San Fran. Notice dogs. Same thing yesterday. Second half of the season's here. They didn't have a good first half of the season. I explained it in Wager Talk today, how these seasons usually work with these groups. And don't be afraid to bet the dogs in the second half of Major League Baseball. That's exactly what they're doing. And so far, they've come out of the gate doing some damage. So that's where we stand. Best of luck. Join me in the Steam Room in about 90 minutes, and let's cheer in that 5% today.
Gianni, be well, my man. Always a pleasure talking to you, man. Go grab that 5% over on his page at WagerTalk.com. We do have looks like we do have a pitching change as well that just got posted with Miami. Still going with Yuri Perez, but the Padres look like they're going to go with Randy Vasquez, to open for JP Sears. That just popped up here. That game is at 4:10, but you want to talk about the definition of a falling knife. What is it, 10 losses in a row for the Miami Marlins? Can't seem to get out of their own way here, but keep an eye on that one. Everything else pretty much squared away here, except we're still waiting to see who Minnesota is going to roll out a little bit later as they take on the Athletics. With the Athletics, another one of those dogs that Gianni was talking about that cashed yesterday. And boy, the Brewers blew up a lot of parlays yesterday, didn't they, for folks? But the good news is plenty more Major League Baseball action coming up. And I can't think of anybody better to talk what's going on in the Diamond with than our good friend, the one and only. There he is, man. It's been a hot minute. TB, Tokyo Brandon in the house, man. Ready to roll. Outstanding. TB, another outstanding Major League Baseball season for you. You're rolling. Yep. The show's doing great on the mornings here at Wager Talk TV. And boy, oh boy, I think Yanni's onto something, man. There's a lot of dogs been barking here after the All-Star break.
There are, and if you were on the Brewers yesterday, that was a big mistake because Sugano was actually the better pitcher, and the Rockies are actually hitting better than the Brewers right now. The Brewers are one of those teams where they string together runs, but they can only do that against pitchers who allow a lot of hits. So Sugano's not one of those guys. So, yeah, I definitely avoided Milwaukee yesterday. That was not a good team to put in your 6-leg parlay. Yeah. That's a parlay buster. Today, though, is a different story.
Yeah, today's a lot. The prices are a little bit different. Still big names. Paul Skeens, Yamamoto out there on the mound here today. And again, I just mentioned that we have that pitching change in Miami with Vasquez going to open up for Sears. But, Miami, here's another one of those situations. Yeah. 10 in a row, the idea that they're due doesn't mean anything here. The Marlins just can't get out of their own way right now. Are they worth looking at?
Yeah, so don't bet they're due in sports betting. Joe, you're an experienced sports bettor. You know that betting a streak to end today is usually not a good recipe for making money. You want to ride the streak until it's over because you can win several times, but you only lose one time, right? So it's kind of like that system that Gianni was talking about. You keep doubling until you win. It's kind of like that. But today is a little different. I kind of like Miami here, so I'm gonna put some chain mail gloves on and catch that falling knife today because Yuri Perez has really good numbers against these guys. He's got a 462 OPS in his career against these batters, and Randy Vasquez is he's just a dead salmon on the mound. That guy is horrible. He actually had some good starts to start the season, but oh, geez, he's been bad. He's one of the worst pitchers in MLB. And he wasn't even scheduled to start today. So these guys are real creatures of habit. And when you knock them off their routine, I don't even know if Randy Vasquez ever had a routine to get knocked off of. But when you knock these guys off their routine, it really messes with their heads. If you ever saw that movie Major League, you know, the guy with the bat rubbing his bat with the voodoo doll in his locker. Actually, pitchers are like that a lot more than hitters. Pitchers are very, very into their routine, and they're very superstitious. So I don't see good things happening for the Padres today. I think Miami's going to handle some business if they can generate 3 runs, maybe. I don't think they've even generated 3 runs in their last 10 games, but if they can get 3 runs off of Randy Vasquez, I think they'll win this game.
One of the best pitching battles today, Dylan Cease versus Sonny Gray. Now, Toronto, I think they scored more than 2 or 3 runs last night for the first time in a while here. But now they got to go up against Sonny Gray, who's been phenomenal in Boston. Same situation. Toronto can't get out of its own way here. Kind of even money across the board with these 2 pitchers.
Yeah, no team's been hotter than Boston.
Ooh.
They're really raking right now, and their bullpen is really holding it together. I got their bullpen ranked 5 in current form out of 30 teams. But Toronto's bullpen's no slouch. I mean, I got them ranked 12. So, but Boston, advantage Boston there. Hitting-wise, though, this is the big discrepancy between these 2 teams. Boston's been raking. And, Vladdy still doesn't have a home run at home. And the season's almost over. That's
crazy.
What is he making? $500 million, and he can't hit a home run at home? Holy cow! These guys are in trouble.
I said it. I think he's either hurt or something else is going on there. He can't have 6 home runs on the year? I mean, really? Come on.
And he can't have 1 at home.
And they moved the dimensions in so they could hit more home runs. And he's
a hitter park.
Unreal. Yep. Absolutely unreal.
I mean, so the over-under 0.5 home runs for Vladdy at home this season is live. Joe, what are you taking?
Yeah. He better at some particular point, but what do you do this time of year though, TB, with the trade deadline around the corner here, and guys, a lot of guys. Waka likely not going to be a Royal in a couple of weeks, right? Some of these guys are auditioning. How do you approach the trade deadline?
Yeah, let me finish this first. Dylan Cease is a very good pitcher, and Toronto can't hit right now. I like Sonny Gray. I would take a Toronto team total under in this game if I were to bet it. So regarding the trade deadline, these guys are human beings. They go home, they play with their dogs, they avoid their wives just like we do. So, it does get in your head when the trade rumors are spinning around. But most guys who are on a bad team who are about to get traded, they want to show a good performance to get out. They want to fleece the Yankees to get a good contract and never play good ball again. Like Stroman did. So, these guys are human. And I think the trade deadline brings out the best of the good guys who are playing on bad teams. That's how I see it. Like Dylan Cease, if there's a rumor that he might get traded, I don't know if there is or not, but I don't think there's any way Toronto's making the playoffs this year. If there's a rumor that he's getting traded, a pitcher like that will up his game because he wants to play for the Brewers, he wants to play for the Dodgers, he wants to go somewhere that he can get to the World Series. When you make more money than you can count, the only thing that's left is accolades. Someone like Shohei Ohtani, that's why he wants to win the Cy Young Award. What else is he going to do? Make more money? He's got $600 million in the bank. So it does mean a lot to these guys, especially good players on bad teams.
And we got a lot of those. I think one guy whose name keeps coming up is Foster Griffin, having an amazing season this year for Washington. He is on the mound with, again, what could be his last start for the Washington Nationals here. I certainly didn't have him on my bingo card to have this kind of season. 11-2, I think. They win his games, but that's a red-hot Diamondbacks lineup right now, too. What do you do with this one?
Yeah, so sometimes I say you have to cover the logos. in his case, you got to cover his name and take a look. He's putting up stats like Dylan Cease, like Scooble. He's putting up those kind of numbers, and he's playing for a very obscure team that nobody watches their games, including their own fans. So, red hot Diamondbacks, but man, these Washington guys can rake. And you probably can't even name 3 guys in their lineup. I can't. No. But man, they're raking. I got both of these teams ranked number 1. These 2 teams are tied for number 1 in batting current form. That Washington bullpen though is horrific. You want to see bullpens come in? I mean, when their starter comes out, especially Foster Griffin, it's like you could bet $1 million that they're going to give up a run in the next 2 innings and win almost every time. That bullpen is horrific. I would say Washington first 5 here because they have a huge starting pitcher advantage. Bratt, not good, not very good. I don't like what I've seen from him, but Foster Griffin, man, that guy's amazing. I think he can hold the power bats for the Diamondbacks down. I would take a Washington first 5 here, but do not back that bullpen.
Absolutely
under any
not.
Circumstance.
Not unless you like pain, because that's what that's going to be like watching the 6th inning on if you got a Washington ticket there on TV.
Unless you're the type of person who likes to handle nuclear waste with no gloves. Yes. Don't bet the Washington bullpen.
I agree 100%. It is a loaded slate here, though, today. What do you got locked and loaded over at your page of WagerTalk?
I have 2 Major League Baseball plays up, and I'm eyeing one of the KBO games for late night. WagerTalk lets me sell my KBO games for half price. And WagerTalk's also doing a special between now and the end of the KBO season. If you buy the rest of my KBO season, they will throw in Japanese baseball and Mexican baseball because I'm doing all 3 of those leagues. Currently, I'm up 101 units on the year. I'm number 2 at WagerTalk behind Hakeem. Adam and I are kind of neck and neck for the number 2 spot going back and forth. So, yeah, pretty good, decent guy to invest in. So if you're looking for some good international baseball or even Major League, find me at WagerTalk.com.
Love it. WT.buzz/TB. Can't go wrong there. Also, the show is on, weekdays at what time do you usually go? 9, 10 a.m.?
Yeah, we start at 9 a.m. Eastern on the weekdays, and we go 10 a.m. Eastern just before this show on Saturday. And on my own personal YouTube channel, I do a Sunday morning baseball show at 9 a.m. Eastern, so catch that as well.
Awesome. Tokyo
Sunday
Brandon.
baseball. Gotta love it.
Go think. Yeah, go
until
figure
football
there.
Comes.
Yeah, right. We'll enjoy it now for the next couple of weeks for sure. TB, get out of here, man. We appreciate it as always, brother. Pleasure to see you. Make sure you head over to his page at WagerTalk.com. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Also, we appreciate you taking the time here. Look at Freebird, 1988. Love it. Play some Skinner. Pleasure to come by, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging with us here. R1L, Steve Merril on his way. We'll get to him in just a few. We've got a lot going on this time of year. It's supposed to be the quiet time, but damn World Cup and soccer screwed us all up here. No vacation time for you. Instead, we also have the CFL going on right now. And guys, I can tell you right now, I don't know anybody more tuned in and better when it comes to dealing with the Canadian Football League than one Andrew McInnis here, who joins us on this Saturday. And McInnis, I'm watching these lines throughout the week. I'm watching the odds going. I'm thinking of you. I'm going, McInnis has just got the line movements during the week in these games, hilarious. How far are we into the season? And have things started to level off a little bit with the CFL, or is it still the have and the have-nots?
Man, Joe, first of all, great to see you as always, brother. I'll tell you what, man, it used to be even worse when it comes to the line movement. It's actually gotten better. I feel like they're not like as far off from the openers as they used to be. Like it used to be so bad that as much as I wanted to give clients a good number, I had to wait until it settled down a bit so they could get a number that actually exists. We're in week 8 right now, and I'll tell you, if you like overs, it's been a running joke on my Wager Talk Today hits. It's just been an auto bet. So far through the first 2 games of week 8, way over the total. Calgary yesterday, I had them as a 5% money line bet.
Ooh.
But also, if you're taking them to win, every game goes over. They put up a 50 burger last night, so they're looking fantastic. We got a 5% yesterday and another 5% play going on Sunday. I never usually do that. Hadn't had a 5% in a little while, and so we're firing 2 in one weekend. So it's been good, Joe, but I'll tell you, people have been catching me up and saying, look, NFL, it's kind of the same thing. And sure, some teams, QB1 to QB2, it's a drop-off. But the reason, in my opinion, the quality has been so great this season, minimal injuries. Yeah. And just when we all started to talk about it, we all jinxed it. You had like 2 or 3 of the top quarterbacks in the league go down, and that's the situation we're dealing with today.
You've got, the Argonauts right there, right? Toronto taking on BC, but anytime I see a 56 and a half, 57 for a total, I'm kind of with you. I'm going, all right, so don't expect a lot of defense. I'm guessing it's going to be a wild shootout. And, the half points are 3.5, not as key a number in the CFL with the scoring. But what are we doing here with the Argonauts? I believe actually laying it on the road.
So, Joe, it's a weird situation today because of the World Cup, BC and Toronto, with Vancouver and Toronto being host cities for the World Cup, both of them had to be on the road for a lot of their games to start the season off. So this situation, if you told me before the season started to pick out some good scheduling spots, I would have told you this would have been a fade for Toronto. This is the last road game of their entire stretch. They haven't played one real home game. They've called one game a home game, but it wasn't actually at their home field. And then this is the first home game for BC. So you'd think it would all add up. All the pieces of the puzzle work well for BC. However, their starting quarterback got hurt 3 snaps in last weekend. Somehow they were still able to cover the +3 for me, which I was happy about, but I got to fade them. Look, I think that Bryce is going to let them down, and I think that when you look at this particular spot, the best thing to do is look at the first half at the -2.5 point spread here for Toronto. Look, Chad Kelly can sling it, and if you're going to give me Chad Kelly, who I think that because of the trouble he's gotten into, because of kind of his attitude, nobody likes to talk about him in the high up of the rankings for QB rankings. He's right up there, in my opinion, in the CFL, especially this season. So you put him versus Bryce, I think it's a complete mismatch. But not just that. BC has not looked like themselves lately. Like their secondary hasn't been good. Their offensive line hasn't been very great. So this to me is a bet against the fresh quarterback making his first career CFL start, Joe. It's one thing to come into a game and have no pressure on you. Now it's up to him. He's the starter here. And I know there's going to be some hype the first game, but like in the NFL, we like to try and capitalize, play contrarian, right? Bet on the injured team because the odds makers have adjusted. But from where I'm sitting, Joe, the odds makers don't know what the hell to do when someone gets hurt because they don't know the drop off, I think, from one QB to the next.
Always. And by the way, Nathan Rourke going down, I think he was the most outstanding player a year ago. So him going down, Chase Bryce coming in, he was slinging it. And when he came in, but he didn't know who he was throwing to. I think he had 3 or 4 interceptions in the game as well. So, but there is no doubt, I think Toronto, it's good to see, though, the CFL can still lose on missed field goals because kicking is for losers anyway. And I think that's how Toronto ended up losing last week, was on a missed field goal. So screw them. Kickers are just as bad in the CFL as they are in the NFL. That's for sure. The game tomorrow, though, you're locked in on a 5%er?
Yeah, locked and loaded with a 5% play in that one. But I am going to tell you this. I think that when it looks at the number here, because it is a total for tomorrow, but when you look at the number, Trey Ford, as much as I just said, backup QBs have been something to fade. It's been something for me in the CFL, Joe, when the bookmakers overreact. And I think that game is probably the epitome of it. I think you can look at double digits. If you can still get a 10 or 10.5, I know it's gone down to 9.5 now. Yep. You almost want to take advantage when the bookmakers react. And I think that, Bo Levi Mitchell, he was, a MOP favorite before he got injured, but now it's gotten out of control. It's like, hey, look, at least when a quarterback gets hurt and you have a backup coming in, they have probably one of the best wide receiver cores in the league. So you have a backup dealing with that, getting double digits. So I do think that Hamilton can hang around. Montreal just had back-to-back competitive games against Calgary. They're back at home. This has typical letdown all over it. We've heard this in college. We've heard this in NFL. A team comes home. They're going to win, Joe. They just might not cover. So that's my free play on the side for tomorrow. I did want to give out a player prop, and I'm not going to give any receivers or rushing. Going to keep it simple here with Chad Kelly over 339.5 passing yards for today against BC. Look, to your point, if Chase Bryce is throwing dots to the ops and he's giving the ball away, then you're going to have the ball a lot in your hands. And I think that Chad Kelly is going to sling it. If you take a look at his numbers so far this season, it's been incredible. 445 yards in his first start. 424 the following, 320, 322. This guy's made it look easy. So, Joe, I really do think that he's going to absolutely sling it today for the Argonauts.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think they're the best passing attack in the CFL right now. When you start going over the numbers, it gets crazy. How many weeks are we looking at? Don't they play for like a year and a half straight? Like, how does it work in the CFL schedule?
Each team gets 18 games. So we got 21 weeks. Yeah. So
I love it.
And I'll be at the Grey Cup this year in Calgary. I'll be at what would you I gotta ask you. Okay, so they asked me to go to Winnipeg last year, and I was like, no thanks, I'm good on Winnipeg. And they said this year it's in Alberta, and I was like, all right, I'm in to go there. So I don't want to get you in trouble with anybody, but what's the equivalent of that in America? If they asked you to go to a game somewhere, where would you say no to? I don't want to get you in trouble, but like, what's the Winnipeg for you of America?
I would think that if you want me to go to a Oregon Ducks game, I'm probably not going. I'm just saying. I'm likely not going to see the Beavers or the Ducks in Oregon anytime soon. Beautiful, I heard, but I'm not going there. I don't even want to go down the block. There's a reason why I got 700 monitors in this studio here, Andrew, so I do not have to go there. But I don't like being cold, so anywhere north of the equator is out for me, my man.
That's true. That's why I try and enjoy it. I got the golf shirt on. I got the golf hat to the next. I got a tee time in about an hour and a half, Joe. I got one more thing to mention, a promo code here. We got a graphic to pull up if I can. I'll tell you, looking at this here, promo code is Andrew10 to take $10 off. We'll keep it nice and simple. $10 off my 5% play. We're trying to go for 2-in-1 weekend. CFL has been fantastic. 5-1 this season with 5% plays. 30 units through 7 weeks of action and a long-term 26-11 run, 70%. Joe, I wish I was putting up these numbers in the NFL so people would give a damn. But if I'm hitting 67% in any football league, hopefully people can, put that on notice a little bit here. So Andrew 10's the promo code. Let's all get on it for tomorrow. 5% play on a Sunday night. All right. Everyone's telling me they're getting prepped for football. I'm betting football right now.
Listen, if it's a flag football game, I'm pretty sure it still pays the same. So it's not, it's not fake money. Like, it still pays the same. So you're right, Andrew. The numbers, the math makes a lot of sense, right? You're getting over 60%. You're making money. And really, it's all about building a bankroll this time of year, Andrew. You know that, moving in. I mean, hell, hockey will be here before you know it. College basketball will be back. It's just, I don't know where the time goes, Andrew. It gets absolutely crazy. But he's got a 5%er for you guys. Nobody's hitting better. He is Mr. CFL. Head over to his page and grab it. Andrew, best of luck, brother. Always a pleasure seeing you. Cash that ticket, my man. Now you got me watching Argonaut football today. Appreciate that, really.
Joe, thanks so much, man. Take care, brother.
Gotta bet it. Way to go, man, Andrew. Appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of that Wager Talk TV family, guys. We certainly appreciate you taking the time out here on a Saturday, a loaded Saturday here. Again, plenty of Major League Baseball coming up, little CFL. I'm not sure if our next guest here is going to be dabbling in any of the WNBA All-Star Game action. Something tells me that might be a pass, but loaded MLB slate, Major League Baseball, NFL just around the corner, not to mention, of course, college football. We're going to have a Hall of Fame game here in a couple of weeks. Then we got week 0, the last week of August. It's that time of year, guys. And now is the time again to build that bankroll heading into football season. And a guy that knows that very well is R1L, Mr. Steve Merril in the house. Merril,
What's up?
always a pleasure, brother, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, Joe, good to see you, my friend. I thought you were going to say, am I dabbling in the CFL? I was like, yeah, I'm doing college football league. Hell yeah. We got about a month to go on that. A month and 4 days. I did not know it was a WNBA All-Star game. I just pulled up. I had Odds Logic on baseball only to get all that clutter out of here. But I just pulled up basketball, and it is tonight at 8:30 Eastern. Team Weatherspoon against Team Cooper. And my first thought was, boy, it'll be a lot of points. Nobody plays defense and all. 279 is the total in this game. Joe, you would have to take several WNBA games to get to 279. My goodness. Yeah. By the way, all seriousness, getting steamed to the under. It opened 280 and a half. And as we're talking right now, it just dropped at the South Point and it bet online from 278 and a half down to 277 and a half. So it's literally lighting up like a Christmas tree to the under. For what it's worth here on last call. But yeah, sharp money on the under 9 hours from now in the WNBA All-Star game. Saw a story last night about how everyone is hating on Caitlin Clark again. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. She's made this league have some credibility and everyone hates her. It really amazes me.
11th best guard in the league. Yeah. Okay.
11th best guard in the league.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. My question here, Merril, before we dive into some Major League Baseball. Again, we're a couple of weeks away from a Hall of Fame game. Football's around the corner here. What are you usually doing this time of year getting ready for college football, the NFL? Do you do a lot of futures? What is this time of year for you?
So in exactly 1 month from now, 30 years ago, I started as a full-time professional handicapper, August 21st, 1996, Joe. Now, I'd been doing it before that, obviously, but I became a full-time pro with clients exactly 30 years ago next month. And needless to say, it's a little bit different now than how I was doing things back in August of 96. And that's not because I'm an experienced veteran. The internet had just come out about 2 years before that. I was using the internet in 96. I've used it for 30 years to gather information. We'll talk preseason football real quick. In 96, man, boy, was that the golden years of preseason football because you would literally go on to all the newspaper sites were free. First of all, you could go to New York Times, anywhere else, and read them for free. You didn't need this $1 a day subscription for all these papers now that nobody wants. And you could literally find out which teams were going to play their starters for 3 quarters and which team wasn't playing them at all, and the line would not move. Now everybody knows that information. We also only have 3 weeks of preseason versus 4. By the way, I love that because I hate the preseason, but it does make the handicapping a little trickier now for that regard. College football, you may be left a year early, maybe a couple guys left after their 3rd year to go to the NFL. Some basketball players were doing it. Nobody in football left after 3 years. Now guys are leaving after 1 or 2 years. They're transferring schools every year. It's tricky. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like anybody who says they have a good feel for week 1 is lying to you, right? Because it's brand new rosters. It's brand new schemes, coaching staffs half the time. That doesn't mean it's not beatable, though. But what you have to do is you have to dig a little deeper, and you almost handicap week 1 of college football like the NFL preseason. You read between the lines. You find out what's been going on in the mini camps and the practices, but you don't even have any scrimmages really to look at, right? So I do have player ratings. I use those more than I have in the past, to see which teams might be stronger with the transfer portal. And that's not something I was worrying about 20, 30 years ago. So, yeah, we're going to take a close look here in a few weeks, but I wouldn't scramble right now because these guys are barely practicing right now. Enjoy your summer, enjoy the preseason, and then we'll hit them hard in week 1. It looks like a good August 29th card, by the way, that Saturday. I think there's like 7 or 8 legit games, right, Division I games. So they will come out blazing that first Saturday at the end of August.
Yeah, and again, a lot of 26-year-olds playing college football now, so it should be very interesting. But
making more than the NFL players.
Exactly. Exactly.
How wild is that?
Time.
We all thought they'd eventually be paid. They should be paid. We all thought sports betting should be legal in every state. It eventually is going to be, but it happened so fast. And like anything, when they regulate too long one way, like the housing crisis in 08, right? There was no regulation. Strippers are getting 5 houses, no doc loans, and then they over-regulate after that. Nobody can get a loan. It's the same thing here. Nobody could get paid, and then they unregulated. Now kids are making $5-6 million. There's like no middle ground, and that is also, by the way, talked about college basketball earlier. Hitting we're close to that. That's something I've heard Alan Boston talk about this with Crackman. It's something I'm going to pay more attention to. is dig in the preseason and find the big money rosters and maybe fade those teams, especially early on. We saw some of those teams really underperform, like in November, December last year. Remember Kentucky?
Like Kentucky.
What was it? Exactly. You thought of them right away as I did, right?
Exactly.
Kentucky was the first. What was it? $25 million for their roster.
Yep.
And Mark Pope, when they were off to like a 2 and 3 start, Mark Pope's like, I've done a terrible job. I don't think he did do a terrible job, to be honest. I don't think it mattered. Indiana the year before, I started to notice that 2 years ago. I do think that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe we can use that in college football. The problem, though, is that you get such mismatches here in week 1, week 2, week 3. And as you know, I love to lay big numbers in September, and it's worked for me for decades. And I don't think anything's changed. If anything, you can make an argument now there's more disparity between the big boys and the little boys because those little boys are losing all their key players, and they have to rebuild with younger, inexperienced players. So that would be my advice to wrap it up, is in week 1, week 2, even week 3, look for the blowouts and don't be afraid to lay the lumber with those 4 or 5 touchdown spreads.
Yep. And to me, it's all about the trenches early on, experience.
And that's why. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. It's all about the experience early on in college football. That's for sure here. But I also love this time of year, Merril, because it allows you to start building that bankroll for football season over the next stretch here with Major League Baseball, right? Out of the All-Star break, trade deadline coming up. The weather is summertime weather here. We had a stretch of a ton of overs, and we got a loaded card here today. The dogs have been barking, though, over the last week or so. What's your approach to Major League Baseball before the trade deadline?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think we have to tread a little lightly before the trade deadline, but I still love this time of year in baseball. I say the second half. It really is not. The second half was like a month ago. They're at 100 games now. Yep. So it was like basically 20, 30 days ago was the halfway. But post All-Star break, we'll say second half, is a great time to be handicapping baseball for several reasons. First of all, you mentioned people are starting to look at football, right? It's quiet time. No one's handicapping baseball. We also have over 3 months now of statistical data, 2/3 of a season almost. So the numbers are meaningful. But you also have to know how to use the numbers. I look to start to fade or play teams that are a little underrated. Same with pitchers that are a little underrated, overrated. Also, guys that are starting to pitch more innings. You and I have talked about this a lot. You're a baseball guy. You know this. These guys that, are minor league pitchers or college pitchers, all of a sudden going 100 and some innings. Be very careful with guys that have started fast, start to tail off for that reason. Also, the hitters and the teams become more familiar with the young pitchers. So be very careful with guys like Schlittler. I did a video yesterday talking about him. He's starting to regress a bit. Other young guys might as well. And also, baseball right now, you do take a contrarian approach after the All-Star break. We talk about that in the NFL, college football. When you get the bye week, it can kind of kill momentum for hot teams. It can help struggling teams. Do we dare say the Mets maybe 40 and 57 before the break? Could they maybe start getting better, Joe? I don't know. That's one of those big payroll teams that might just be bad all year. Yep. But you mentioned dogs covering. I think that goes back to that theory, though. After the All-Star break, you get a little bit of a reversal. And you talked about warm weather. The ball does travel in hot weather. A lot of people know that. Newer bettors might not know that. That's another reason some pitcher stats look better in April and May than they do now. And most guys have their weakest numbers in August historically for that reason. So here again, look to play some unders when the setup is right, as the ball does fly out at night in this hot weather.
So I talked to Tokyo Brandon earlier, Merril, and I love this. Was right up your alley. The pure definition of not catching a falling knife is the Miami Marlins right now with 10 straight L's. They got swept by Cleveland before the All-Star break. They have not won a game since the All-Star break. And here they are with the Padres today. But again, they're minus 130. Are we laying 130? It's been all Miami money, by the way. But is this is the definition of don't catch a falling knife? No?
A week ago, they were 10 games above 500. A week and a half ago. So, yeah, they've lost 10 straight, and they're still 52 and 52. So they're not a terrible team. Mm-hmm. So, I get the whole do theory here, but you're exactly right, man. Whether it's the financial markets or it's the sports betting markets, we don't play against momentum, good or bad. What you want to do is you want to look for that bottoming out process. That knife is falling. Dodge it. Let it bounce. Let it bounce a couple times, man, because it'll bounce up and cut you on that first bounce. So let's watch the Marlins bottom out here. Maybe a week or so, you and I will start talking about it again. It'll probably be a play-on team. But, it's not as hard and fast rule that, hey, the All-Star break kills momentum or helps struggling teams. It's just a small theory. It's a subset. Red Sox, right? 15, what was it, 15 wins in a row, broke their franchise record coming into the break. I think they had 10. They won like another 5 after the break to set that team record. So it's not an automatic play or play against. I'd be very careful with the Marlins until they show us something. And this I will point out as well. Everyone talks about starting pitching. The lines are still set heavily on starting pitching, and that's one of the reasons they're a favorite, by the way, today. Perez, if you go back over his last 10 starts, the last 2 months, a 1.1 ERA. He's been like as good as anybody in baseball his last 7 starts, whereas Vasquez, 4.7 on the year, not too bad. Well, you go back until late May, his last 2 months, 7.42. So this is maybe the biggest pitching mismatch we've had all season. That's not an understatement. Last 7 for each starter, 1.1 versus 7.4 ERA. So if you're going to play the Marlins, play the first 5. At least you're getting that pitching matchup. The problem is you're only getting half the game, and I bring that up because, once again, the odds makers still use pitching a lot. Offensive momentum is vastly underrated. I talk about it all the time, and that's usually the difference when you're struggling. Oh, the Miami Marlins, they've lost 10 in a row, Joe. They've scored 3 runs or less in 8 of those last 10 games. They've scored 2 runs or less in 7 of those last 10 games. It ain't the pitching, it's the offense. So maybe an under, maybe a team total, Padres team total under, first 5 team total under if you think Perez is going to pitch well. But I'd be careful with Miami to win the game. They probably do win the game. They have a huge pitching edge. But, yeah, I'm not in a hurry to back a team that scored 2 runs or less in, 7 of their last 10 has lost every one of them.
Every single one of them. One other game, Merril, we'll get to here, because there are some guys where you look at the price and you go, I don't really care. At this price, I'm betting them. And Paul Skeens today is minus 115. And now Pittsburgh just doesn't ever win the games he pitches for some reason. They're coming off, a 3-2 loss yesterday. Jones was phenomenal. Not a lot of hitting. Pittsburgh's been crushing the ball. They're going up against Imanaga in this spot here. But, Paul Skeens at 115, or just give me it. I'll take the shot with him.
Yeah, Paul Skeens a year ago maybe at minus $1.15. Yeah, although he's starting to pitch a little better. Keep in mind that his last 7 starts going back to mid-June, 4.58 ERA. He's been below average, below the league average, and still a solid 3.4 ERA on the year. But let's look at the last 2 years. Last year, 1.97. 2024, a 1.96 in his rookie year. That's like half almost of what his ERA is now. So he's not all of a sudden the dominant pitcher he was. I don't think anything has changed. Like anything, I mentioned it earlier. Hitters see them a few times after their second, third year. They get more notes on them. Everyone does have a regression at some point. With that said, though, he's been pretty good overall. His last 7 starts, he might have a 4.6 ERA, but he had that really bad outing at Philly when he gave up 7 earned runs back at July 1st, just less than a month ago. And then he also had one other outing, I think, when he gave up 4 runs.
Cincinnati. It was
right before that, exactly.
Yeah.
He gave up 11 runs in 2 starts in late June, early July. And the fact that he's bounced back since then, the last 3 outings, he's gone 18 innings. He's given up 2 runs or less in all 3 starts. So I think you're probably onto something. I don't want to say he was ever a falling knife, but I think we got that little bit of a bottom there. And I'm with you on this one. I think Skeens is still a dominant pitcher. And do we dare say we're actually getting value with him now going forward? And also, the last 7 starts, 2.3 ERA, but he's got a 3.9 on the season. He was over 4 until recently. So I really do think these are 2 pitchers maybe that we're getting value now. He's going to regress. Skeens is starting to play better. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, and the Pirates' offense has been solid. They're not a bad team this year. They can hit the ball, and overall, they're 53 and 51. They're an above 500 team this year, too.
I agree. And Imanaga is a fly ball pitcher out in a warm ballpark there at PNC. So maybe runs could be coming here today for Paul Skeens, who's won his last 3, like Merril said. What are you locked and loaded with here, Steve, today over at WagerTalk? Some of these games?
Yeah, so I've got a strong baseball best bet tonight. Not a game we talked about here, and we're on a 75% run. I talked about how I love post-All-Star break, second half of the season, whatever you want to call it. 75% winners over the past week and a half since the All-Star break, and it's not a fluke. The 30th anniversary is next month. The longest win streak I've ever had in my 30-year career was 19 straight baseball wins about a decade ago, and not surprisingly, it came in late July. A couple years ago at Wager Talk, we finished 52-24. From this point on, a couple years ago through the World Series, 52-24 in baseball, 97 units. That's almost doubling your bankroll with baseball only. So yeah, football's around the corner, but you can still make so much money with baseball, especially this time of the year. My strongest play of the night is on my page. Also have a bonus free play for you in the Astro-White Sox game tonight. That Astros-White Sox free play is up on my page. And then right after this, Joe, I'm going to knock out a 2-for-1 video here with your 2 Fox national TV games tonight. 2 other games we didn't touch on here. Dodgers, Mets, Mariners, Rangers, free here on Wager Talk TV in about an hour. So click subscribe, click that bell for instant alerts. Thumbs up, like, hype it on your mobile device, and comment below because we read the comments. We reply back. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM.
2 R's, 1 L.
2 R's,
guys.
1 L. You know the deal.
That's right. You know the routine. Look at that. The GOAT, AOD. How about Pistons in 5? By the way, 2 best pitching matchups of the night are the 2 games that you're going to put a video out on. Dodgers, Mets with Yamamoto, McLean, and then Wu and Evaldi. So should be a good night of Major League Baseball. Woo! Get it going.
By the way, Brian Rue's like 50-1 on the Cy Young. He's not going to probably win it, but if you want to sprinkle a long shot or at least a play on guy, I'll talk about them more in the video. He's a guy I also think is better than his overall seasonal numbers, kind of like Skeens. I don't think Skeens is going to probably win the Cy Young either. Skubal, I did a video yesterday on Skubal. He's got like a 2.8 ERA, but he's only pitched like 80-some innings. He's not even on the board, really, the Cy Young. He's like 50-1.
Yep.
Schlittler, as I mentioned, starting to regress. He's already gone more innings than he's ever pitched in his career, and he's got like 2 months to go.
Yep.
Be very careful laying the juice with these young guys. You want to look for long shots still in the Cy Young market.
Yep. And listen, Sonny Gray still out there. Opportunities if he keeps winning games. So there are some values in the Cy Young market for sure, except Miz is like a 70% favorite. So it's like, yeah, okay. But
that's why there's value with the other guys, right? If they don't win it, there's tremendous value. Cease is the guy that'll probably win it if Schlittler doesn't get it. They're the 2 heavy favorites, and he's a little more of a veteran. But still, just from a daily handicapping perspective, I think you will make some money in August and September fading some of these big-name young guys that have off to really fast starts.
Big time. Merrill, get out of here, man.
Thanks,
enjoy your day. We'll see that video posted a little bit later. And there you got it here, guys. A little something for everyone here today. I want to thank Gianni. Don't forget Steam Room coming up a little over an hour, I think. You can hop on board in there. Want to thank Tokyo Brandon. Also, don't forget, he's locked and loaded today. International baseball games. We've got Andrew McInnis. He's got a 5%er coming up in the CFL tomorrow. You can head over to his page at WagerTalk.com. Merrill told you what's going on. I, too, have 2 Major League Baseball games locked, loaded, ready to go here for today. We swept the board again last night. Now 4-0 here, looking to keep it rolling. As love this card here today. A couple of games really have some value there. So head over to Wager Talk, guys, but don't do the individual plays. Just do the buy 3, get 3 will get you the next 6 days. You get everything, including 5% best bets. That's the way to go. So visit my page, visit Merrill's, Yanni, Tokyo Brandon, Andrew McInnis. It's all set and all ready for you. Kelly, we'll be back again next week, I guess, provided there's no lacrosse. But if not, we'll see you again somewhere along the line. So appreciate John behind the scenes running the controls. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like, subscribe button, and plan on coming back, joining us again next week for an edition of Wager Talk's Last Call. Cash those tickets, guys. We'll see you next week.